Hello, my fellow crest-wearing companions, the bleeders of the red, white, and blue. Welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. I'm Tim Greenberg. I'm your host. Today we're going to be breaking down a lot. There's a lot of soccer going on this summer. We're going to be talking about the United States result against Bolivia and their start to the Copa America 2024 here on home soil, that game in Texas. We're going to break down the rest of the Copa America results, and it's soccer summer. We're going to talk about the Euro because I want to talk about the Euro, and there's exciting stuff going on, and we're going to wrap it up with a preview of the USA-Panama game and where I see things going, and how my predictions have been. So all that's coming up. Stick around. All right, so the United States started their campaign against Bolivia with an absolutely dominant result. So if you're somebody who watched this game and you looked at it and you said, I don't know, Tim, 2-0, it was Bolivia. They're ranked the worst team in the tournament as far as FIFA rankings go. They're insanely poor. I think that was probably one of the only things that I heard any media or content creator discuss was just how poor this Bolivian side was. But to that, we're taking away from the results of the game. It doesn't matter necessarily how all these things unfold. When you're looking at group stage games, the most important part of group stage games is coming out the gate, winning game number one. Okay, there's like a 60-something% chance that you qualify, or I believe it's the teams who win game one go on to qualify 60-something% of the time. So winning the first game is absolutely massive. When we reflect on the United States and the history of the United States in major tournaments, you've been a USA fan. You see the draws, you look at the games, and you look at your friends and you think to yourself, yeah, we're getting out of this group. We got this. We're playing them. Easy. But inside, you're worried. Is the United States going to do what they always do? Are they going to choke? Are we going to struggle to beat another third world country? Are we going to struggle to beat another team whose population is less than 49 of our 50 states? Because it's what we do. It's the history that the United States has had. We do these things. So what I want to say when I looked at this result before we kind of go into the game, there was never a doubt that the United States was going to lose this game. I don't remember the last time I watched the United States in a major tournament where there was not a doubt. And I'm including World Cup qualifying, and I'm including the Gold Cup, and I'm including the Nations League. We had a couple that were, but I don't think we'd kind of overcome that hump yet because it was CONCACAF, and the referee could do this, and we could concede a goal early because we did a lot of the time. This was so nice to sit there and watch a result where right from the whistle, right from the gun, we were going for it. We were there to put the game to rest, put Bolivia out of their misery, and just coast our way in through group stage. We hear a lot of nonsense about how, well, they're 2026 focused. They're quarterfinal focused. They're semifinal focused. We got to take care of the games at hand. While we're also hearing the same criticism of Greg Berhalter saying we're trying to take it one game at a time. So we're getting a lot of this weird back and forth that it doesn't really seem to be fair. The United States set out to win a result. They won the result. There was never a doubt that Bolivia had a chance. There was never a doubt that we were going to lose that game. It doesn't matter if we could have had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. This isn't a group that's going to matter on goal differential. It's probably not. Okay, maybe we draw Uruguay. And then it is, right? So you could make the argument that, well, Tim, of course it's going to come down to goal differential because the United States and Uruguay are probably both going to win both of their games. And so the team, if we tie, the team who went, we are playing Colombia and Brazil or Uruguay again, no matter what. You have to beat both of those teams no matter what. If winning put us on the other side of the bracket and we were going to play like Jamaica or Canada, then absolutely I'd be disappointed that we didn't score 3, 4, 5, 6 goals and just absolutely run the score up. We could have. Ricardo Pepi needs to focus. We'll talk about that because the man could have had a hat trick tonight. But we're not on that side of the bracket. We're on this side of the bracket where we're playing the best teams in the tournament no matter what. And after the Argentina result that we'll get into, it's kind of frustrating that we're going to be on that side because watching that game, I kind of wish it would be over there. So let's get into this game. Let's kind of talk about it a little bit. So United States right from the gun, we just see full-blown attack. Flair and Balogun almost gets a goal. Weah destroying up the right-hand side. Reyna doing what Reyna does best, knocking the ball all around. The pace that we saw the United States come out in to score that goal was honestly the pace that we kind of needed to see kept throughout the entirety of the game. We get our first goal. We don't really lay off, but the fire goes down a little bit. We're still hungry. We're still trying to get goals. We have a couple of opportunities. Balogun could have got a second. I can't remember who. There was a couple other players who had chances to get a couple goals. We played with a different tactic. So yes, we typically like to build the ball around through the midfield. Yes, we still build out of the back like we always do. I don't think we're ever going to not build out of the back. But as opposed to like building out of the back 70% of the time and trying to play like, long balls 30%, it felt more 50-50, even 60-40. We did a lot more long balls out over the top. And that's not something that I had been watching us do. It's not something we'd been apt to do. So what I really enjoyed about the game was we tried something different. We didn't do anything fancy. We didn't have any kind of flair. I'm not saying I agreed or disagreed with what we did differently, but that's something the United States has struggled with over the last 4 years in most tournaments is we do a thing that we're really good at. When we played against teams who didn't want to adjust, we thrashed them and destroyed them. When we got to the World Cup and we played against the Netherlands, who was like, sure, you can do that all day. We're not that worried about it. When we played against Wales, who understood what was going to happen. We played against England, who understood what was going to happen. That style doesn't work. You have to be able to mix it up. It was nice to watch us mix it up. We have players who could deliver those balls, who could play those dangerous balls in behind the defense to try to stretch them wide. I know one of the things that we'd heard talk about in both the Euro and the Copa America was the quality of the fields. Now, in the Euro, it was mostly the state of the pitch, not being real grass and being turf. In the Copa, is that the fields are more narrow. So we're going to have to see adjustments before the 2026 World Cup because they're not the full 75 meters in width that they have to be. So the fields were a little bit more narrow. They were a little bit tighter. So obviously, like, that played a big deal in the game, but not as much as, it didn't make all of the difference in this game, right? It didn't make all the difference in this game. So right from the gun, United States going into it, we see Tyler Adams in our lineup again. We see Reyna in our lineup again, but not a whole lot else changes, right? We're leaving Balogun up front. We're just switching Adams. We know Adams is probably coming out. We know he's going to be building into his thing, and we're giving McKennie the shot again. I haven't been particularly impressed with Weston McKennie. I'm the person who, when the United States was going for like the player of the year last year, and everybody was like, oh, it's going to be Christian Pulisic. I was like, I don't know, like, Weston McKennie's kind of been a stud for us, and he's kind of been doing it. I cursed the man. Ever since that happened, it's that commentator's curse. I haven't really seen any kind of results for him. He struggled everywhere. He recently was in talks to be let go of at Juventus, and Juventus, he got upset and kind of renegotiated, and there's been some drama there, so who knows what's going forward. But that kind of, it is what it is. So game starts out, we go in real quick, we get a corner kick, we do a short corner, and Pulisic is able to get to the top of the box and just not really marked as much as he could have been, and honestly doesn't have the best of opportunities, but hits the ball that needed to get hit. Is it a screamer? No. Is it in the top corner? It could be a little bit closer, but it had just enough of that curl that it was getting just over the goalie's fingertips and dipping back down just to catch the bottom of the crossbar and in. It's what we need. We need players that are willing to take the game on, take players on, and hit shots like that. Because the world-class teams, the top 4, the top 6 teams in the world, have a player who, at least if they're unmarked in that spot, they're taking it on, they're hitting the frame, or they're making the goalie make a great save. We needed a player to do that. Pulisic is turning into that player. I think we're starting to figure out how to fit some of our more elite players into the game. Pulisic being one of the easier players to do that because he also has the capacity to take the game on himself, because not only is he one of our forwards, he's playing that 10 role because we want to go through him, but we also want to see him attack. Whereas a player like Balogun, he's not going to make the game kind of come to him. He's not going to take himself to the game. He's waiting for the game to come to him. So if we can't get him involved, we're not really going to see it. So we go up really, really early. For the next 10, 15 minutes, right up until about the 20-minute mark, I was really expecting the United States to get another goal or two. And after that, there's still not a doubt that we're going to concede. There's still not a doubt or that we're not going to concede. There's still not a doubt that we're not going to win the game. But you started to have that kind of moment where, you score that goal in the 3rd minute, you're thinking this is going to be a 5-6-0 game. You're getting hyped up, especially when we continue to pour the pressure on. Well, then the game starts kind of dying off, and we're not really sure. Then we see Folarin Balogun do what we've been waiting for him to do. Is it a great shot? No. Should it have gone in? Probably not. But he's able to hold the man on with his body. He's able to get that turn, generate that couple feet of space that we need from a striker, and make a chance out of nothing. One of the things the United States needs from their strikers, from that 9 position, from their center forward, is the ability to create chances out of nothing. And he's able to do that. And that's what we need. Hopefully this is his breakout, right? Strikers need to be in form. Strikers need to be scoring goals. Strikers need to be a lot of things, but you need confidence. He had the confidence to take that shot on. He's had the confidence to take a lot of shots on. Okay? That's what we needed. So I'm hoping that going into this Panama game, he's going to be able to carry that and carry that confidence going into it. What did I like from the rest of the players? For as much attitude as I give and for as much crap as I give, Anthony Robinson played fantastic. Absolutely destroyed up that left-hand flank. There was not a single player who could keep up with him. And what we saw once we made those substitutions, so once Adams changes for Musa and McKinney, when they trade for Musa and Cardosa, great substitutions. It feels so good to be able to have players of that quality who really honestly have starting quality, right? I think Musa could be starting over Weston McKinney, and I think there's even an argument for Johnny Cardosa to be starting, certainly coming in and taking over for a Tyler Adams if he's not at 100%. If Adams is at 100%, I think he's one of the best center defensive midfielders in the world, so I don't think that there's anybody who should be starting over Tyler Adams, and I'm so excited for the next 4 years to watch him develop, but that's neither here nor there. Robinson, fantastic up the left-hand side. When we saw the substitutions come in, when Pepe came in, he generated a lot of the offense, and it felt like this was a game where he was finally clicking with Christian. They were moving the ball around, these nice 1-2s, holding things, overlapping runs, knocking the ball into space, hitting through balls, overlapping, like dummying the ball. We were doing everything we needed to do. Sure, the disclaimer is that, well, Tim, this is a Bolivian side that's not really relevant, right? These are professional players. It's an international tournament. I don't really want to hear it from the United States 8 years ago didn't make it against Trinidad and Tobago. Teams are teams. Games are games. Dominate, put the ball in the back of the net, score the goals. Let's not worry about anything else. Let's get to 2026. Did we struggle? Yes. Yeah, we had some struggles, right? We did. Tim Ream, another game in the back with some horrid turnovers. Absolutely horrid decisions. Very poor turnovers, very poor decision-making from our center defensive back. And that's not what we're going to need going forward. He's going to have to tighten that up. That stuff's not going to work against a Brazil. It didn't work against a Colombia. We got punished immediately. It's not going to work against an Argentina. It's not going to work against an Uruguay. So those things have to get cleaned up. I thought Robinson cleaned his game up. I thought Scally played fantastic. I thought Richards played great. So everywhere else on the field, we really seem to be stringing things together. I'm going to say this on behalf of Chris, because he's been a big fan of this player. we cannot give Giovanni Reyna enough credit. I think he's consistently been one of the top 3 players on the field for the United States for the last year. He generates most of our offense. His ability to distribute the ball is unparalleled currently. It is currently unparalleled. There is not another player on our team that distributes the ball the way that he does. There is not a player on the field who can play the ball in as tight of a space as he can. He just has that composure. He has that desire. That's his game. That's what he wants to do. Musa can dribble as well as him. Christian dribbles as well as him. He just has the capacity to do both. I don't see why he's not the one taking our set pieces, why he's not the one hitting these distributions. He really should be. I don't know why Christian is still taking our set pieces. We heard a lot of great stuff. The media was like, oh, he's done so much work. I didn't see it. Sure, his corner kicks didn't hit the first defender, and yeah, he scored that free kick. Like, yeah, things have gotten better for Christian, but are they good enough that, like, that's where we want him to be? Are they so good that it's uncontested? He gets to do it all by himself, and nobody else should even give it a shot. Like, I don't know what's going on at practice. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors at our camps. I just think that we should be giving somebody else a chance. As far as the rest of the players on the field, the only other player that we have to talk about is Ricardo Pepi. I mean, I know De La Torre comes in. He really has kind of fallen off for me. He was somebody who, when he was coming in, I was so excited. I was like, man, after the first 4 games I watched this guy play, I was like, who is this player? He's fantastic. He could be a starter for us. Oh my gosh, our midfield is insane. Everybody could be starting. Maybe it's because he's coming off the bench and he's not getting as much playing time, and that makes him feel a little bit more lackluster. But that's the words that I have to describe him. Like, he's a good player. He's not generating anything. He's not doing anything. And the United States has too many players on the field that seem like ghosts. That, you think about the game and you're like, what was that result like? And who was playing where? And you're like, yeah, I remember what Pepi did. And I remember what Balogun did. And I remember what Christian did. And I remember what Ream did. What did Cardoza do? Oh, he had that tackle. What did Luca De La Torre do? I don't remember. Nothing? I don't really think he did anything. Brendan Aronson, kind of the same thing. Just have these players who didn't really break out in Europe that are now kind of like, well, I'm trying. Well, I think I could get there. Well, I'm hoping I get there. Yeah, well, you're not getting there. You didn't get there. And I'm not really sure what you're expecting any of us to do about it. So the exception to that is Ricardo Pepi. He comes on, he gets an absolute bunny, like an unmissable opportunity. And in Pepi fashion, he manages to miss this. My first memory of Ricardo Pepi's and Jesus Ferreira were watching them in World Cup qualifying just shank everything. And going, well, the United States still doesn't have a striker. We still got to get one. So now we have Balogun, and we're all like, yes, Balogun's going to be great. And to be fair, he's been okay. He's been kind of lackluster. Most of his problem is that we're not getting him involved. So is he not scoring goals? Yeah, but are we not getting him involved? Yeah. Ricardo Pepi, on the other hand, does something that Balogun doesn't do, which is he manages to find the game and get himself in a position where we can give him an unreal amount of balls. He has 3 goals that he absolutely should score, right? The goalie makes a great save on one of them. But I'm going to say this. I've said it every episode. I'm going to continue to say it every episode. The difference between the top 4 teams and everybody else, the difference between world-class players and everybody else is that you do not miss those opportunities. Christian is not one of the best players in the world because he misses too many of those opportunities. If Ricardo Pepi wants to be a starter on our team, all he has to do is make those goals. If he makes 2 of those 3, I'm asking to start him. I would want him to start based on the performance that I saw. Do I think that Balogun's going to start? Yes. Do I think Balogun's going to play better than Pepi? I don't know. Against a Panama side? I don't know. Is he going to get himself as involved? I don't know. Pepi got himself involved. Was he only able to do that because Bolivia was tired? I think that would be doing Pepi a disservice. I give credit where credit is due. Pepi has not been one of my favorite players. but he has performed when he's come off of the bench. He's come off of the bench and scored, and he has matured as a player. This is a player that during the World Cup, when I heard about the videos of him putting on the Netherlands jersey in a club in the Netherlands after we lost to the Netherlands, I would have cut from the roster and just been done with it. He has matured. He has grown. He is back after it. He's putting up results and performances that are worthy of a starting position. He's been able to do these things, so we need to see Balogun picking up those things off of the ball. We need to see Balogun getting more involved, going to the game. It's one of the things Pepe's really good at doing, is coming out of that number 9 spot, coming out of that center forward position, dropping in, getting the ball, and distributing it. Pepe's pretty good at playing the ball to his teammate. He's pretty good at reading the game, so that's something that we're going to need to see from Balogun going forward. So all in all for this game, I don't really have any complaints. Like, yeah, there were still things that we needed to clean up, but when's the last time? I think this might have been the first time in my life that I felt like the United States came out and did the thing they were expected to do, and there was no doubt about it, right? You watch the World Cup, and it's like, oh, Argentina's going to play Saudi Arabia, and they couldn't pull it off. Whoa. But, like, remember, like, Germany playing Saudi Arabia, and it's like, oh, the game's 8-0, and it's like, well, of course it's 8-0. Like, it's Germany. They're supposed to win their group. They're supposed to do whatever. Like, yeah, like England crushed, or like France crushed, like Spain's up 5-0. This was that opportunity for the United States, and we came out and we did it. And we did it kind of just like shrugging our shoulders, like, yeah, like, what did you expect? Like, of course we did it, and we're kind of like laughing about it and the camaraderie and the guys putting their hands around each other, and it's like, all right, we're on to the next one, like, we did what we needed to do, like, get the job done and go on to it. So I'm not worried about it. But let's talk about the rest of COPA, because I think there are teams that are worried about it, right? So let's see if we can bring this over. I'm going to bring us over, and we're going to do a little bit of talking here about the Copa America results. So if you haven't been following Copa America, let's come check it out. We start with a game, Argentina-Canada, that if you had watched the game, really felt like Canada had a chance. Not really thrilled with Argentina's performance. Do they get a 2-0 result? Yes. They get a 2-0 result. It's the same result that we got. It's the same result that arguably we got against a much poorer team. And they still scored 2 goals. I wasn't impressed by Argentina. That wasn't a result based on just the eye test. I didn't see a team on the field that I thought was like the heavy favorites. Okay, especially against a Canadian side that I don't necessarily think is that great. Now, after just game 1, a lot of people do think that Canada is that good. People are giving Canada a lot of credit. They have a lot of quality to their side. So maybe you're thinking, you know what? Actually, Argentina beat a really high-quality side 2-0, right? Like, maybe we shouldn't be giving them so much attitude. Maybe Argentina really is the favorite because they struggled against a team that was fairly good, and maybe one of like the other breakouts in this. The rest of it is Chile and Peru, who wind up drawing against one another. So, okay, Canada seems to still be like the clear second there. The Venezuela-Ecuador game, what a mess. What a mess. If you don't think there's bad blood between those two countries, you're out of your mind. I don't know what Enner Valencia had going on. I don't know what he was thinking. That tackle is absolutely obscene. It is absolutely out of control, and he cost his team the game. Like, Enner Valencia, it would have been anybody who got a red card in that game would have cost their team that match. He has all of their goals. So now not only, like, that red card probably cost Ecuador the ability to qualify out of that group. If Ecuador had any chance at all, it is gone out the window. Because now not only do they have to play that game down, right, against a Venezuela who, yeah, Venezuela was a quality team. They're a fine team. You could have got a result against them. So there's at least a point you've dropped, maybe potentially 3. But your next game, you're down your leading goal scorer for the next game. And I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter if you play, I can't remember. It doesn't matter if you play Mexico or Jamaica. I don't remember which one it is, but it doesn't matter which one it is because you're not going to be able to win that game without your leading. You're certainly not going to beat Mexico, and you probably will struggle against Jamaica because for as poor as you might think Jamaica is, they're not that poor. And I said in my predictions, I think Group B is like the group of death. I think these are the 4 teams that are closest together. Although we'll get into Group D because I think Group D actually might be the surprise sleeping group of death in this one because, boy, was that an interesting result in Group D. But I'm going to stick with it. I think Group B is the group of death. I think those teams are all super, super close. I think it was unfortunate for Jamaica to lose to Mexico. It is what it is. They still have a couple games. I think Jamaica has the capacity to beat a Venezuelan side, and they have the capacity to beat an Ecuadorian side, although I do think it's going to be tough because I think Venezuela, knowing that all they have to do is probably get one more point, especially if that point is against Jamaica. If that point can be against Jamaica, that group's going to come down to goal differential, and that is going to be wild. Absolutely wild. We talked about the United States game. Uruguay having no problems against Panama. Panama does come back and get one. Uruguay looked like they were having a lot of fun at times. But what I will say is from watching the game, if the United States handles Panama in the same fashion or slightly better fashion, then I think the United States is going to be favored against Uruguay. Uruguay had chances. They developed. They attacked. They were a very quality team. I didn't see anything on the field that made me think the United States couldn't go in there and win that game. So I do think that there is a very strong chance that the United States could possibly win that group. Now, why is that relevant? Because I'm telling you, before last night, it was not relevant at all. Colombia comes out, gets the job done against Paraguay. 2-1. It's a game. Okay? Obviously not the same Colombian. It's the same Colombian team that we saw, but this puts them in a little bit better of a spotlight. Our game against them didn't do us justice, and it didn't do them justice. It just kind of was like, that was weird. I'm not really entirely sure why any of that stuff happened. We get a much more fair, even game against Paraguay in a capacity that shows us that, like, hey, I think both of these teams are much more human than we thought. And then we get into the upset of the tournament. Brazil failing to beat Costa Rica. Costa Rica having no desire in the world to try to go ahead and try to score goals in that game. The lowest of low blocks. They parked that bus. They were set. They were composed. They played together as a unit, as a team. They knew what they wanted. They went after it, and they got it. And they understood that if we want to have a chance at coming out of this group, we're going to have to beat Paraguay. We're going to have to draw Brazil and draw Colombia. There's our 5 points. Those 5 points might get us through. They might, because now we're in a situation where Brazil has to beat Paraguay. Based on their Costa Rica result, they might get another draw. They might even lose. And then they have to go up against Colombia. Depending on Colombia's result with Costa Rica, Colombia could be a team who says, no, we came here to win. We're going for it. And we're going to put the goals up. Colombia has been scoring lots of goals in their last sets of matches. They've proven that they can hit the back of the net repeatedly. Brazil, not so much. A couple goals against Mexico, struggled to get goals against us, didn't get a goal against Costa Rica. So we could see the United States needing to win its group because maybe it's Paraguay or a Costa Rica who's coming out of that group in second place. Bare minimum, winning because if the Brazilian side sneaks out, they're probably somebody that you want to play because they're certainly not the Brazilian team of old. So for what it's worth, I definitely think that as we think about COPA, a lot has happened and a lot is going to continue to happen and a lot has changed. If you were to look at me and say, okay, Tim, out of all the teams that are coming up, which one of those two teams is more likely to have not put up the result? Is the United States or Brazil? Well, it's the United States all day. But yet here we are with the United States comfortably winning its game and Brazil failing to. Colombia winning its game. Uruguay winning its game. Ecuador failing to. Mexico, maybe a little bit of struggle. Argentina, maybe with a little bit of struggle, but yeah, kind of getting it done. And then today we see Canada putting up its result. Now, Canada's result, and there's a game actually currently happening literally right now. I just want to check to see what it is. Canada's game, what a favor they were done. Now, I will say this. We can sit here and say, like, yes, Canada was given a favor by the officials. I'm not going to say a favor because it was a red card. Like, that was a nasty red card. So we could say that, like, Canada only wins this game because of the red cards, but that's part of the game. And given that Peru should have had 2 red cards, because I'm sorry, it's just embarrassing for CONCACAF. So this is the whole thing that I wanted to talk about with this game is CONCACAF refereeing is still out of control, and I don't want to be the person to only complain about it when it deals with the United States. I want to complain about it when it's bad all over the place. We've had games in Europe in the Champions League where players have pushed each other and their hands have been on somebody's throat as they pushed them, and they've gotten ejected from VAR because any hands to the face, head, neck area is an automatic red card. That's the ruling. We know that's the ruling. He headbutts the Canada player. I don't care if the Canada player embellishes it. Okay? You want to stop players from embellishing it? You start calling it before they embellish. Don't give players a reason to try to sell it. Just make the call. He clear headbutt, catches the guy on the side of the head. I don't care how hard it is. The rule isn't, if it's the rules aren't subjective. The rules aren't if it draws blood or if it hurts or if the referee thinks he was really trying to. No. Headbutting is a red card. So you give the guy a red card. So, yes, sure. Canada probably doesn't win that game and they walk away with a draw if Peru doesn't get that red card. But that's not relevant because Peru played a game deserving of 2 red cards, which means they deserve to lose that game. If Peru wanted to draw, they shouldn't have got 2 red cards. Do I think that performance from Canada is going to get them a result against Chile? No. Was it the same Canada side that we saw against Argentina? No. So again, we're looking at Canada potentially sneaking out to play against a Mexico side, maybe at this point even a Venezuelan side, and probably get thrashed. It's not a good look for Jesse Marsch. It's a good look for the United States because we didn't go with him, even though I was kind of somebody who was like, oh, maybe we should go, with this coach. Boy, I was potentially wrong on that one. Potentially wrong on that one. But those aren't the only soccer games that are happening currently. Euro 2024 is also happening over in Germany. And those games are pretty wild as well. The Euro is actually into its final day where all the games are being played simultaneously. We have groups wrapping up currently. So Group A has finished. So if you're not following the Euro enough or you've forgotten, the top 2 teams are going to advance. And then like the next, I think it's we got to go to 16, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the next 4 best teams, which currently I believe somebody had stated you're going to have at least 4 points potentially. It's going to be like 3-4 points potentially. So there's a lot of teams that are just like they're not out, but they probably don't have a chance. So when we look at the teams that have gone through, Germany clear through. I thought that's exactly what we thought we were going to see. They said Hungary was going to be a dark horse. I honestly thought Scotland outperformed in this group. I know we have 2 losses and a draw. Watching them from the eye test, this is the most disappointing thing for me because Scotland was the most fun to watch. They had a lot of chances. They did a lot of cool things. What is in the details? But this doesn't work. You don't get blown out by somebody and then have a shot at doing it, right? And then like you can't lose to Hungary. So it's kind of a bummer. Switzerland did the work that they needed to do. So all in all, like not really any surprises in Group A, and not really any surprises in Group B. Well, I'm going to say this. There were some surprises in Group B for me having watched all of the games. So having watched the games, I'm not surprised that Spain did this. This has been like just tournament after tournament after tournament where Spain has been that like weird, like they don't make mistakes team and they just come out and thrash people. right? Whereas like in the World Cup, like England didn't really do that like it was supposed to, and people were kind of like, what is going on? Like Southgate needs to get it together. France kind of did it, but like Spain was like, yeah, we'll run up the score. We'll get 6-7 goals against like two of these teams. Like we'll beat Costa Rica, 8-0, 9-0, whatever it was, and just absolute insanity. And they did it again here. They have a goal differential of 5 with 9 points, right? Italy, honestly, like, I mean, if you watch those games, Italy's Croatia match was absolutely insane, and it truly, honestly, was heartbreaking for Croatia. Do I think that either one of those teams was necessarily better than the other team? No, I thought their performances were pretty poor. But, I mean, for Italy to get their result in the facet that they did, with arguably probably way too much extra time being added, the inconsistencies of extra time has been really, really difficult just across everything from, I mean, even in the World Cup when they were like, we're going to be more accurate in the first game at like 14 extra minutes. And then like very quickly they were like, oh, we're sorry. We didn't realize everybody was going to hate that. Like, yeah, you did. You knew everybody was going to hate that. And now we just see random matches where things are kind of like that, where all of a sudden it's like, well, 5 minutes. And then the next game's like, oh, it's got to be 9 or 11. And then it's like, oh, 4. But the games were the same. Like the exact same things happened. Well, there was a VAR review. Okay, but there was a VAR review in the other game. The other game only got 7 minutes and you got 11. So like, what's going on? So unfortunate for Croatia. Just like amazing games just to watch though. This group just so boring. I mean, oh my gosh, boring. It's just, wow, boring. Literally look at this right here. Look at this. Look at this. 7 goals. In the 9 games that got played? Gosh. Oh my gosh. And like they're supposed to be so exciting. It's England. Like Serbia's not a bad team. Denmark's not a bad team. Denmark played great. And you're watching these games, you're like, what a snooze fest. Like you guys are gonna get through on 3 points. Like you got through because you scored as many goals as you conceded and you never lost. Like I don't remember the last time I saw this where like you just didn't do anything and you're like, well, we're here and we're gonna get through. Slovenia obviously still with a chance, like we had talked about, because we're going to have to take the next 4 best teams. So Slovenia, maybe their goal differential is pretty good at 0. Croatia, no, they don't have the points, and their goal differential is -3. Hungary has the points, but again, goal differential is -3. We get into Group D. This is weird too. Like this is just really weird that like Austria is the team who's sitting atop this group. I really don't think I would have predicted that. Obviously, I think everybody had like France and the Netherlands. I might even have had Poland coming up into this. So like, here's the wildest group that I think we've seen. I think Mbappe getting a hurt and breaking his nose and not seeing playing time probably affected that. But I mean, not really. Netherlands crossing that 4-point threshold. So obviously they're going to get through. Poland just right out. Group E. The wildest, most fun group to watch because, wow, look at this. Every single team at 3 points. So if you haven't decided on what you're doing tomorrow, you are watching these games at 3 o'clock. You should have them both on. You should have one on your computer, one on your iPad, one on your phone. Watch them 2 times a piece on 4 different devices. Do whatever you have to do. Do not miss a single minute of these. And I say that because we tend to want to think that the most exciting games that we get to watch are like the best ranked teams. The best games to watch are the teams with the smallest differential in FIFA rankings, the teams who are closest together. Belgium has sucked it up in this group and really failed to do what you're expecting Belgium to do. And all of the other teams are kind of like the same. Like Slovakia, probably the second best team, but like Romania is not going away and Ukraine's not going away. So this is all going to be really, really exciting. And depending on the results, I mean, you could have like 1 team win and then 2 draws, and then like everybody in this group could get through. You could see 2 draws and everyone in this group might get through. Just kind of weird. Probably not Ukraine. Ukraine is probably out even. Well, no, they'll go to 4 points. We'll see. It could be crazy. Portugal obviously through. I think it's going to be Turkey. Turkey, I think is how they want you to say it. Sorry, Georgia. And sorry, Czechia. There's just no chance. So because of how poor both of these are, there's a chance that it's not going to be you guys. You're going to have to see some wins from Czechia and Georgia to kind of get there, which I think they're playing. I think so. I think this is the last set of games. These two, and I think Turkey's playing. I could be wrong, though. I'm probably wrong. Who's playing? No, yeah. Georgia's playing Portugal, and Czechia's playing Turkey. Okay, so like Czechia's got a chance, but I think Turkey's just going to kind of get through there. So really, really wild. One of the most interesting, I want to say, stats about this, I don't know if it's going to pull up and show it on here, is the number of own goals that have happened. And I don't know if it's going to show us like where own goals stands. But I believe that like if you could pull it up, own goals is leading the tournament. And of course, others not going to show up. Dang. I want to say, though, that was like one of the weird like stats for the tournament was that own goals was leading the tournament. And of course, I'm not going to be able to find it and figure it out and whatever. But that's just like your weird fact for that is that if you just had to give it to like a single stat, like, oh, like who's got it? Is it Mbappe? Is it whoever? Is it this? It's like, no, it's actually own goals. There have been that many own goals. And I think it's like 10 or something has been an absolutely insane number. Absolutely insane number of own goals. So that being said, as we get ready to wrap this thing up, let's talk about the USA Panama preview. So what do we need to see from the United States? We're going to have to see that exact same kind of intensity. The United States coming out with a fire, with a passion, and putting the ball in the back of the net early, right? I'd love to see another goal within the first 10 minutes, and then maybe 2 goals within the first 25, 30 minutes. If we can get into a position where this game is 2-0 again at halftime, then I think we can play really comfortably. I think we go out and we try to get another. There's no reason why the Bolivia game couldn't have been 4-5-0. So we have the capacity to have subs coming off the bench to put in even more goals. I do think that the big factor is going to be the refereeing. If we wind up with a CONCACAF referee, this game could be a lot closer than it needs to be. But either way, the United States just comes out. They do the things that they're good at. We get the result that we need to get. We just win this game 2-3, 4-0. And then we get ready to go on and play Uruguay in a position where the Uruguay game is a game where, you know, if it doesn't matter if we go for it or not, then you're just resting players and giving guys experience. In reality, if you're looking at it and going, well, like, does it matter who we're going to play against? Now, it's probably going to, and it would be nice from a confidence level to go for it, especially given how Group D is going. And as we see how Group D goes Friday, depending on those Friday results, we could have some real craziness over the weekend with the United States going, actually, maybe we really do want to try to win this game. And either way, if we're playing for a draw or we're thinking we're going to get a draw against Uruguay's probably going to spank Bolivia. So we need to be thinking, like, can we get a better result, right? Because Uruguay's probably going to win 3-4-0. So we got to at least be in a position where we go, okay, can we win 4-5-0 against Panama, or at least not concede to keep the goal differential even? So those are the things that I'm thinking about. I'm not really... I don't have any doubt, and I'm not any worried. The United States comes out, they play the way they've been playing, they do the things they need to be doing. We will get the result that we need to get. So that's all I got from here. This has been super exciting. Obviously, the summer of soccer has been absolutely wild. As always, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. If you've enjoyed this and you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps us reach more people. It helps us share this dialogue. If you're just maybe somebody who goes, hey, I didn't really like it, but I kind of, maybe other people want to see more content like this, and maybe other people, when they search for USA Soccer podcasts, they want to get more than just Alexi Lalas and Tech. Maybe this is the thing for you. I've been able to find 4 or 5. I've kind of looked around. So anything you guys could do, would appreciate it. And always leave a comment down there in the comment section. Love to engage with everybody. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. United States playing against Panama Thursday night, 2 days. Take care. Let's go red, white, and blue.